What's up, everybody? Bill Tendo here, and today, by multiple requests, we're bringing back a favorite of your guys and a favorite of mine. It's a series I used to do. It's called Forgotten Sci-Fi. And before we get into it, hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It helps out a lot. So what Forgotten Sci-Fi is, it is basically where we pick a movie, book, television show that is science fiction that people just don't talk about anymore. And we go over what it was that made it really good. So I've done numerous of these. You can look back. I have a playlist of all the episodes I've done. And, at the time they were getting more views than I had subscribers. So, I hope now that I have a slightly larger audience, I think I'm at like 600 subscribers, which is amazing to me as just an old guy on the internet. That's amazing to me. So hopefully, you guys like this because I really enjoy doing it. So today we're going to talk about Stargate universe. Now, anyone that knows me personally knows that my favorite sci-fi series is Stargate as a whole. The reason I love Stargate so much is because it was always grounded in present day reality with science fiction mixed in with it. Now, the main premise of Stargate series, and there were multiple series and movies, is that the round portal there, you can use it to travel from one point to another. It establishes an artificial wormhole. If there's a portal on both sides, you instantaneously travel from one point to another. During the original series, which is SG-1, they traveled all around the Milky Way galaxy, which was seeded by an alien race. The second evolution of mankind was spread out. So the majority of worlds were human. And eventually, we were at our current level of technology. Eventually, Earth got ships and stuff like that. But they looked very Earth. They looked very military and industrial. They weren't like these sleek Star Trek or Star Wars ships. These look like they were built by modern day humans that just figured out how to build a hyperdrive. And then we had Stargate Atlantis, which took place in the Pegasus galaxy. And then that brings us to Stargate Universe. Now, Stargate Universe was a very bold departure from the rest of the series. Stargate SG-1 took place based on Earth. So based on Earth, it had this very comedic flow, but still had intense drama, action. The action was crazy. It was beautiful. The premise of Atlantis was we found the city of the ancients, the gate builders, and we went there and it was empty. And for a while they were stuck there and they couldn't get back, but they established themselves in this. It was technically a ship, but it was the size of a city called Atlantis, and it was the Atlantis of legend. And it's a giant city that they were based out of, and they went on adventures in the Pegasus galaxy. So, basically doing the same thing, SG-1 and Atlantis in two different galaxies. Now, where SGU really differs from these, Stargate Atlantis, or SGA, was very bright and shiny. It was the futuristic everything as far as mankind was concerned, because we were operating the technology of the ancients at their peak. Where Universe differs from this is we found an address that we shouldn't be able to dial. Only one planet in the entire universe that we were found was able to dial this address, and they linked to it while under attack. The people that were supposed to be on the mission didn't get to go on the mission. Just the people that could get through the gate were there. And on the other end of that was the Destiny, which is a spacecraft that the ancients built before they built Atlantis. So this ship is supposedly millions of years old, and what it does is it flies on a course through all of these galaxies. They're at least 20 to 30 galaxies away from Earth. They show this in the first episode, the star chart and how far they are. And at one point, someone asked, looking at the visual chart, they're like, are these stars that this ship has visited? And they said no, it's galaxies. So it's that far away from Earth. They have no hope of ever returning to Earth. They're too far. They can't control the ship, and even if they could, they're too far to ever fly it back. It took millions of years to get where it is. As far as using the gate to get back, they cannot do that because the gate isn't powerful enough. It takes a planet-sized power, and on the planet that they dialed in from was very unique. It was the only one they had found in the universe that was capable of doing so. So, basically, you have the wrong team in place that is on this ship, and they want to figure out how to get home. They want to complete the mission. They want to find out what Destiny's for and where Destiny is going. But it's a very old ship, millions of years old. So, like, the first season was very, very slow and dramatic. Very dramatic. In the first episode, I can't remember the actor's name. He played Shooter McGavin in one of the Adam Sandler movies. He's a congressman, and he dies to save everyone else. He willingly dies to save everyone else. Now, the attractive lady in the purple here plays his daughter. That is Elise Levesque. She plays Chloe Armstrong. So, before I get too far ahead of myself, let me say, there was a lot of drama in the first season. It was very slow as far as the first couple episodes were about air. They were running out of air. They had to figure out how to get the air working. Then they have one that's power. They're running out of power. They have one where they run out of water. And it's really survival. And where Stargate, SG-1, and Atlantis was episodic in nature, like Star Wars. I mean, like Star Trek, where it's almost reset at the beginning of each episode to the status quo and things were like they were before the episode started. That was very much not the case with Stargate Universe. It seemed like Voyager was trying to do what Universe was doing without being self-contained episodes, and the first season is literally like a 10-hour episode. It is amazing. Battlestar Galactica is a great example. It was very popular at the time. Stargate Universe was not beloved at the time. I even watched it on the first run, and I was like, this is okay. But now, I've watched it twice since then. The show's been off the air for over 10 years, and I've watched it twice since then. And every time, it is better to me because this show was so ahead of its time. So, let's go through a little bit of the cast. We have Robert Carlyle here in the center, and he played Dr. Rush. He was the lead scientist. We have Elena Huffman, who's directly above my head here, the blonde-haired lady who played TJ. We have Matt, who is the gung-ho Army Sergeant. We have David Blue, who plays Eli Wallace, who is next to Elena Huffman. Now, Eli Wallace is a very special case in and of himself as a character, and let me get into that for just a moment. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, but I love this show so much. I've watched it so many times. His character progression in the show is one of my two favorites, and the reason is he lives alone with a sick mother, and he's basically playing World of Warcraft and solves a puzzle in there. Well, Dr. Rush actually embedded that puzzle, and it was a code, and, you know, no one in the world could figure it out except for Eli. Turns out Eli is a mathematical genius, and the guy just never knew because, hey, he worked at McDonald's and stuff like that. So he ends up meeting Dr. Rush. Rush comes to his house with Jack O'Neill in the first episode, and they introduce him to the Stargate program. Now, his progression from this nerdy boy who lives alone with his mother in quiet solitude to an extremely competent mathematician and character support, like in the series, is amazing. So the show only got 2 seasons. But to see Eli Wallace go from where he started, which was, hey, this is the chubby, nerdy guy that plays games and never leaves his bedroom type deal, to being a very competent and authoritative mathematician on a starship filled with scientists, but yet still being a caring, loving individual and very supportive of his friends. Great character progression. This is the kind of things that, like, when I rewatch the show now, I really enjoy, because we don't get to see characters grow like that when we watch Star Trek series. We don't get to see characters grow and change like that when we watch Star Wars. It's not as common. I myself am a huge sucker for a good story. If the writing is good, I don't care about anything else. My favorite science fiction movie is Cube. That movie was made for like $8. But the story is solid. The acting for the money that they had for Cube was amazing. And so I appreciate story over anything. If you can't hire, Brad Pitt to play a part, there are great actors you can hire for less. And when casting choices are done well and the writing is solid, I don't care if your laser gun is actually a sparkler. Like that means less to me. But a lot of people didn't like this format for a Stargate show. So David Blue, Eli Wallace, one of my absolute favorite characters. And also, he is there for you. When you're watching the show, Eli is you, and you are Eli. He is the point of view of the watcher. So you learn things as he learns things. And he asks questions that you would ask in his place. That was his original purpose on the show, and he definitely grew from there, and it was an amazing thing to see. So, let's get back to the cast. We're going to get over to Louis Ferrara, who's on the other side of Chloe there, the lady in the purple. He plays the military commander on Destiny. He injures his leg coming through the gate originally. It was a very violent entrance for everyone. And he uses a cane for a lot of it. Great character. His story arc is also really, really well done. A lot of character growth there. At first, you just think he's this, like, asshole military guy, but there's a method to everything he does and a reason why. Let's point out next, Ming-Na Wen. We can't not point out Ming-Na Wen. She played Camille Ray. She's basically the head of the civilian population on the Destiny. Now, the great thing about Ming-Na Wen is everyone knows her, even if they don't know her. She's one of my favorite actresses. She's popular right now for being in the Book of Boba Fett. She did the voice of Mulan originally for Disney. She also did Mulan 2. And she made her like breakthrough performance in the Joy Luck Club. And she was a main cast member here. I believe she had made some appearances on Stargate, Atlantis, and SG-1 before this. But Ming-Na Wen is a fantastic character. She played Camille Ray. And again, every one of these characters actually go through a growth arc. There are very, very few characters outside of the main cast that don't get to go through a growth arc. And there are even, like, background characters that are going through a character arc. And I love this show for it because it is so well written where everyone gets to grow and change, and because the situation would force you to grow and change. It'd be easy to say, if you put The Rock in this show, The Rock would be The Rock before he got there. The Rock would be The Rock after he was there. He wouldn't change because he plays the same role in every movie, right? Well, that is not the case with Stargate Universe. These characters, each and every one of them, go through a character arc, and they grow and they change with the situation as it demands. It's phenomenal. So let's talk about just two more people in the cast here. All the way on the end there to the left is, what's his real name? Jameel Walker. Now, this, you know how I said David Blue was one of my two favorite character developments. Jameel Walker is my absolute favorite character development. You know why? Because most of the first season, I fucking hated this guy. I'm like, he's an asshole. He's a piece of shit. Fuck that guy. I wish he would die off. So he played his part well, right? Because every episode, he's such a bag of dicks. I can't wait for this guy to die. But then you start learning about him, and he gets his character arc in full swing, and holy crap, he became one of, if not my favorite character on the show. He's close. He's so close. But to come from, I hate this guy and I can't wait for his character to die, to being one of my favorite characters on the show, shows how good the writing was and how amazing of an actor this guy is. Jameel Walker, I don't know what he's doing now, but dude, come on, I'll write a movie just for you. I'll do it, man, because this guy can act. Now, let's get into some of... Oh, I should also mention that in just about every other episode, it's special guest starring Lou Diamond Phillips, who has the same rank as the military commander of the ship and wants to try to take over. So that's going to bring us into our next segment, which is the basic plot of the show. They're stuck on this ship. So who are the bad guys? Well, the bad guy, there is no bad guy. There's no bad guy. The bad guy changes from episode to episode, meaning there's no monster of the week, but they don't have the Borg, they don't have the Wraith, they don't have the Goa'uld, they don't have the Empire, none of that. There is no overarching big bad of the series because they're moving from galaxy to galaxy. And so eventually they leave every enemy behind. They do run into enemies, they do have skirmishes, they do have incidents. But no enemy can last forever because they need to keep moving and they can't stop moving. So, the real enemy here is having a couple hundred people locked up on a ship that they can never leave. There's the real enemy here, and the real monsters are the people. And you have to understand that. And even good people can become monsters and go back to being good people in extreme situations. If you enjoy SG-1, are you going to like this? Maybe. If you enjoy Battlestar Galactica, are you going to like this? Probably. Because there's so much to unpack. Now let's get into... because my video is getting long here and I really don't want to go that long. Let's go to its untimely demise. So the show actually ended because MGM went bankrupt. Now Amazon has bought MGM, and hopefully we can get a reboot. At one time there was a movie scheduled that would include Stargate Universe, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate SG-1. So, maybe we can get something like that. We need closure because what happens at the end leaves us on a cliffhanger because they never got picked up for the third season because they were canceled because MGM went bankrupt. But basically, they went to cross the galactic divide between two galaxies. They were under attack by an enemy, and the only way they would have enough power to make it across is if they all went into stasis, cryo sleep, to cross the galaxy, and it would take 2 to 5 years that they would all be sleeping. Except one pod wasn't working, and Eli volunteered to stay out and get it working. And basically the deal was if he couldn't get the pod working in 2 weeks, he had to kill himself because otherwise there wouldn't be enough power to get across the divide, and even a small percentage would leave them floating for thousands of years. So that's kind of how they left it. Now, let me get into my idea. I hate that they left it like that, but also I love that they left it like that, because what that does is that opens the door to a sequel, a new season at any time, and it doesn't matter that it's been 10 years, because it's such simple writing. Well, the cryopods malfunctioned, right? That's all you have to say. The cryopods malfunctioned. Whatever cast members don't want to come back, they died in their pods. Everybody else that's 10 years older now, the cryopods malfunctioned. They aged during their sleep when they shouldn't have. And that's it. And then you pick up the story and you keep going. So it seems to me, and I'm not even a sci-fi writer. Well, I've written a little bit. It's just not good. And I never show anybody. But I'm not even a writer, and I realize that this is a very simple explanation that people can really grab onto. Sometimes you don't have to overcomplicate things. Leave it simple, and then save the complicated stuff for other things, you know? But Stargate Universe, I'm just rambling at this point. Check out Stargate Universe. It's one of my favorite shows. It's only 2 seasons. Watch the story arcs. You know, the first couple episodes might drag you a little, but you'll get there. You'll get there, I promise you, and you will love it. Hey guys, like and subscribe. Bill Tendo's getting out of here. Go watch Stargate Universe. What up?